Nityananda. I was reading a few comments from some viewers a few days ago in response to a video that I made with one of my Guru Behens here, spiritual sisters living with me here in Bengaluru, Adinam. And I just felt like I should address the topic of what was mentioned in that comment about the perceived ferociousness in how she was speaking, and some of the things that she said specifically about being in alignment with the Guru, and part of the relationship that we share as spiritual brothers and sisters here is really realigning us back to our Guru, and not just our Guru but the purpose for which we came here for. So it's not just anyone that will pack up their life and start anew and become an Adinavasi, which means living here in the Adinam and devoting their whole life to enlightenment or establishing their space and their state in that of full abiding realization and enlightenment. Especially, you know, me that has taken up these robes, it's a very clear lifelong commitment that I am devoting myself to this path, and I'm completely committed to not just achieving this abiding state of enlightenment but sharing it with the rest of the world. I know that it's a science, I know that it's something that can be achieved not just by a select few but by very many. If they have the inclination towards it itself, that inclination is enough to propel you so far into this. And that's been my experience so far. So back to the whole ferociousness, perceived ferociousness that we have here, especially in the Nityananda Sangha, maybe in comparison to ISKCON or other more bhakti, devotional kirtans, bhajans, singing and dancing, these kinds of organizations. See, this ferociousness that you see, when we're on this path of seeking, when we've made the commitment towards our enlightenment, especially if we're living here and we're surrounded by our spiritual brothers and sisters, the one thing that is stopping us ever from experiencing this complete completion, this complete fulfillment, which we are always in each and every moment, is our mind. It will be our thinking patterns, it will be our emotional patterns, it will be conditionings that are there that are very hard to shake off. I know, like, it was just a common thing back in my prior life that when I was going through any kinds of ups and downs, especially if I was feeling victimized or if I had any kind of a self-pitying thought pattern, my friends and family would obviously be there to console and to help, but thinking of but experiencing how cunning the mind is, how much it just wants to live in this identity, how much it wants to sustain itself as, you know, a perpetual victim or a perpetual whatever it is that you're giving your identity life to. It can be very tricky to escape from, and not necessarily escape from, but just actually even recognize that it's there. I know for myself in my when I was really suffering, even though I was like living a normal, happy life. I had a job, I was in a relationship, was going out with friends, but was never really fulfilled. I would obsess about things, and it was always negative thought patterns. It was always, no matter what I had, it was never enough. And it's very difficult to spot this for what it is. So part of the ferociousness aspect that you see in us is directly dealt with any kind of a powerlessness or any kind of a thought current or emotional pattern or whatever might be there that is not helping us expand and is taking us away from what it is that we came here for. It can get really it's really easy to get sucked into the loop of the mind. And it's the one thing that will take you away from any master, not just Swamiji, but if you found a true enlightened guru, the mind is the one thing that will keep pulling you away from them time and again with its cunningness. It's to be a true disciple, you need a lot of not just sincerity, but a lot of openness and innocence. So there's this story from the Living Enlightenment book where this master, he asks his disciple to go into the forest. And he says to him not to come back until he's gathered 1,000 cows. So the story goes that this disciple trusts his master and he goes into this forest. And after collecting about 10 cows, he falls into complete ecstasy. He falls into complete bliss. He is in this space of enlightenment. He absolutely forgets what his master sent him there for in the first place. So time passes and the master understands what's happened, and then he goes to collect his disciple, and then he brings him back and they walk out together, not as master and disciple, but as two enlightened beings. So the purpose of this story is to reiterate the innocence that's needed in a disciple when they're having a relationship with their master. A lot of trust is needed. Now, when cunningness comes into play, it's very easy, and I've seen people get sucked into this here, and I've done it myself actually, where Swamiji will give us an instruction, right? He'll give us something that we, a task or whatever it is that we have to fulfill. The mind will very easily judge and try and grab onto, why is he saying this? What is the purpose of this? It wants to give itself life. It wants to sustain itself. And obviously with the negative thought currents, it's the easiest way, right? Before you know it, you're stuck in that thought. There's no space for you to see it for what it is, just a thought. Even if you're stuck in the space of confusion, you can just see, okay, I'm in a space of confusion. There's no need to keep running behind each thought like a loop, like a loop, like a loop. And there's no, that innate intelligence which is inside of you cannot express itself and guide you. You're stuck in this thinking. See, this disciple that, you know, the master has said, go and collect these 100 cows. If he was thinking, oh, look at this guru, he's lazy, he can't be bothered going himself, so he's getting me to go and do all of his dirty work for him. He could get 10 other people to go and do this job for me. Why is he torturing me? Why do I have to do this? What is his intention? He has ulterior motives. What could he possibly gain from me? See, he's using me. There's 1,000,001 things the mind can come up with. It's very cunning, and they're things that are so legitimate. It's very easy to get stuck into that kind of a pattern of thinking, and it happens here. And this is why it's really important to have people to constantly remind you again and again that you didn't come here to chase after your thoughts. You came here for something much higher. And enlightenment is obviously seeing the mind for what it is. It's seeing your thought currents, your thought patterns, any emotional patterns that you're stuck with for what they are. And this is why I know for myself, I had an incident the night before where there was this old thought current that was just coming up inside of me, and it was just, I could see how the whole gravity of my attention was being pulled towards this thought again and again and again. And when I looked in and I was being ferocious with it and saying, is this thought expanding me and bringing me closer to what I came here for? Or is it shrinking me, making me withdraw from life and just perpetuating more and more negative thoughts? I could see this is exactly what it was doing. It wasn't a productive thought. It wasn't something that was helping me. It was coming from a complete space of powerlessness. I was able to see it and just say, no, I am not allowing this in my inner space. And that ferociousness, see, when I can be that ferocious with myself, I know that when I know that I have people around me that will not console me, and, you know, for example, if I had someone sitting with me saying, yes, 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 you're a victim, yes, 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 you should be feeling sorry for yourself. Where is that getting me on this path? Is it bringing me closer to what I came here for, or is it just keeping me stuck in the mud? this is the thing. It's really easy to judge, but it's very easy to judge while missing the context behind something. Never forget never, at least try and find out what is the context for why someone is doing what they're doing. See, I don't judge. If bhakti is your path, if singing and dancing kirtans will get you enlightened, go for it. I have been in this space of lovey-dovey devotion, and I still have that here towards my guru. It's not that that aspect is missing, but there was a lot of hypocrisy behind it. The love that I have for existence and life and whatever, the moment something didn't go according to the way my mind wanted it to, that was gone. It was completely hypocritical. And I've seen on this path, like being here as a sannyasi in Nityananda Sampradaya, having Swamiji as my guru, I've seen the biggest transformation happen from powerless cognitions into powerful cognitions, and being able to recognize a thought for what it is, which is the most, it's key. Once you can recognize that it's just a thought, I can drop it. I don't have to run behind it. This is the space of unclutching Swamiji is always talking about. It's being in that space where you can just allow things. If they arise, you recognize, you see it for what it is, but there's no attachment to it. You simply, you don't even have to consciously drop it. You witness it and it goes away. And this is the flow. This is that intelligence which is there inside of you. You know, it's always there. It's always living your life. You are always fulfilled. You always were. You always will be. It cannot be taken away from you. But the mind will never allow that to be experienced or felt. And especially when you're with a master, it will fight and rage when he's performing his surgery. So this is part of the ferociousness that you might see in us. When we talk about alignment back to Swamiji, it's exactly that. Remembering time and again, what is it that we came here for? What is it that we chose him as a master for? You know, why are we with him? Is it to judge him? Is it to push ourselves away from him? Or is it to remember that no, he is taking us towards this state that he's in? And see, the judgments about Swamiji, he's a concept in human form. When you interact with him and you see him, you know that he's not like, he's obviously not like me. There's an energy working through him. And that energy has come down in human form. That's the easiest way for us to connect to it and relate to it and achieve that same space of, see, this super conscious energy. How do we understand what it is? How do we recognize it for what it is? The easiest way is in a human relationship, through human interaction. But the more you're around Swamiji, the more you understand that no, he's not just like a regular human being. He's so much more than that. And so are we. We are not what we think we are. This is the thing. He didn't come down and he's not doing what he's doing to brag and boast of his glory and all that he is. He's trying to wake us up and understand that this is what we as humanity are. It is not about one man. It is about all of us waking up and understanding that no, I am not these flesh and bones. There is so much more inside of me that is just ready to explode and express itself and raise everything around it just by being in this presence, just by being what we already are. I don't know if this is making sense. My God, I might just I might leave this as my now that I've started rambling, I might leave this as my cue to cut the video. So I hope this gives some kind of clarity for you. If it doesn't, if you have any more questions, again, hey, feel free to comment. I love reading them, no matter what is there. A seeker is a seeker, and I just feel blessed that I have an ability to share this journey with you all. And yeah, I look forward to sharing more videos with you all again very soon. Thank you, Nityananda.